What's up, everybody? This is Chris Illuminati from BroBible.com, and this is the 10 count. In this episode, Impact Wrestling reveals a nominal new wrestler. Chris Jericho tells a great story about Pat Patterson being able to speak wrestler, and the WWE sent a few of its bigger stars back down for training. Let's get started with the 10 count at number 10.
The Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department is planning to file charges against the man accused of cyberbullying former wrestler Hana Kimura. According to Asahi Digital, investigators believe an Osaka man in his 20s sent thousands of bullying and threatening messages to Kimura on social media. Over 1,200 posts and 600 different accounts are being investigated. The posts were deleted following the 22-year-old wrestler's tragic suicide in May of 2020, but the screenshots of the posts and tweets were sent to the Tokyo police. Kimura began receiving the threats following an episode of the reality show Terrace House. Impact Wrestling teased a phenomenal opponent for All Ego Ethan Page this past week. The clever wording teased at a possible appearance of former TNA star but current WWE performer AJ Styles. Fans realized that WWE would never allow one of their performers to appear in a rival promotion, but what Impact delivered might have been even better than AJ. Page's phenomenal opponent ended up being the nominal Swoggle, formerly Hornswoggle in the WWE. He was dressed as AJ Styles and came out to AJ Styles' old TNA music. Styles is reportedly pretty cool with the knockoff and thinks the character is actually great. Swoggle's imitation of the nominal one was also a hit backstage at Impact and even in the WWE. In a recent interview with Digital Spy, former WCW President Eric Bischoff spoke about his time as the executive director of SmackDown last year with the WWE. According to Bischoff, the job wasn't everything he assumed, with most of the issues coming from the WWE's inability to keep an open mind about new ideas. There was not nearly the autonomy that I was hoping there would be, explained Bischoff. There wasn't an open mind to find new ways of doing things which either I allowed myself to believe there would be, or I was led to believe there would be. I'm not sure which is true even to this day. Bischoff also commented the main issue from the company is that they just do things the way they've always done them. There really wasn't a new approach, he said. It was the same approach, just with different people, and I just didn't fit really well there. In an interview with Lillian Garcia on her Chasing Glory podcast, WWE star Elias opened up about working with The Undertaker several times throughout the last few years. The pair haven't had any televised matches together, but have shared the ring for several different segments throughout the years, including at WrestleMania 34 with John Cena and the night after WrestleMania 35 on Raw. Elias told Garcia that he even had to seek approval from The Undertaker to wear a specific hat before their segment at a house show in Madison Square Garden. Getting to work with him, it was one of, if not my favorite wrestlers growing up. I remember having a match with him at Madison Square Garden. It was the main event. It was actually a big tag team match. I opened it up with one of my songs. I was wearing a hat, which I had to get approval from the dead man from because it was like a cowboy hat. Elias isn't the first WWE star who needed to get The Undertaker's approval on gear similar to the dead man's gimmick. Stone Cold Steve Austin needed The Undertaker's approval for the skull design on the iconic Austin 316 shirt. More and more Pat Patterson stories are coming out after the WWE legend passed away earlier this month. AEW star Chris Jericho did a tribute episode of Talk is Jericho in memory of the WWE Hall of Famer, and shared a story about Pat being a calming voice after Vince McMahon wanted Jericho to put over Heath Slater. Jericho explains that Patterson had an easier time conveying ideas to wrestlers because he was a former in-ring talent.
I remember another time, this is a great story that you'll appreciate, when the first original NXT was the Nexus. Remember the Nexus? Yeah, Wade Barrett and his gang of guys. And so we were doing something where I had to work with Heath Slater, and Vince wanted me to put him over. And you know me, man, I usually don't get, but I flipped out. I'm like, what? This guy's like a nothing.
Yeah.
Like, why do you want me to put him over? And he's like, oh, whatever reason it was. And I was like, I went straight looking for Pat. And I went to Pat and I said, can you believe what this guy wants me to do? He wants me to put over Heath Slater. Can you believe that? What should I do? Pat goes, he's smoking a cigarette in a no smoking area, of course. He goes, do it. I go, what? He goes, just do it. And he was basically telling me that everyone knows you're going to beat this guy, but you're a heel. If he beats you, you can flip out. You'll get way more over by losing this match. You'll have much more of a bone to pick and meat to chew on for a promo. He said, no one's even going to remember that this guy beat you next week. They don't even know what his name is. And they still don't know what his name is. This actually gets you more over as a heel to lose this match to this, opening match jobber, right? And I never thought of it. And if Vince could have described it that way, I wouldn't have had a problem. But Vince did not speak like Pat did. Pat can speak wrestler talk. Vince does not know how to speak that because he's never been a wrestler.
PW Insider is reporting that Raw star Lana is expected to be off TV for at least a month. This leaves Asuka without a tag team partner for the TLC match against Raw Women's Tag Team Champions Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Charlotte Flair has been off WWE TV since June. Early reports had her returning in time for Royal Rumble season, but a surprise return at TLC would make more sense and set up a storyline with current Raw Women's Champion Asuka. Will we see the return of Charlotte at TLC this weekend? Only time will tell. Cody and Brandy Rhodes are expecting their first child. The couple announced the news during Wednesday's episode of AEW Dynamite. A vignette aired on the episode showing the couple getting a special delivery while decorating a Christmas tree. The delivery was an ornament saying the couple would be having a baby. Last month, Jon Moxley announced during a vignette that he and his wife, Renee Paquette, are also expecting a child. There must be Blue Chew in the water at Daly's place. It looks like the relationship between AEW and Impact Wrestling will still be going strong into the coming year. AEW champion Kenny Omega will headline Impact's Hard to Kill pay-per-view in January, tagging with the Good Brothers, to take on Impact champ Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. After leaving Swann unconscious on a recent episode of Impact, Omega told Swann, "This may be your house, but as long as you're a wrestler, you are living in my world." Hard to Kill will take place on Saturday, January 16th, and will be available around the world digitally via Fight TV. The WWE is allegedly looking to get one more big match out of Bill Goldberg. The company is currently planning on having the 53-year-old Goldberg challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania 37. The match would reignite the feud between Reigns and the former champion that was supposed to happen at WrestleMania 36. Unlike The Undertaker earlier this year, Goldberg said he has no plans of hanging up his wrestling boots anytime soon. He told Bleacher Report, "We always have to cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm 53 years old. I'll be 54 here in a couple weeks. Hey, as long as my body can still do it, I'm still going to do it. It's very tough because being a power wrestler at this age, I'm not the person I was back in the past. You have that sense of, oh, am I ruining my legacy? Well, you know what? I still have to put food on the table for my family." In other Goldberg news, former WCW performer Disco Inferno told SK Wrestling that Bill wasn't the nicest guy to be around backstage during the day of a wrestling show. Wait, the guy who purposely rams his head into lockers before a match isn't a fun guy to be around? The next thing you're According to an inside source, the low ratings are pissing off the higher-ups in the WWE. WrestleVotes quoted an unnamed source inside the company who said, "The record low Raw ratings isn't quote-unquote sitting well with those in power, to a point where they expect some reactionary decisions to be made." It was also reported that Vince McMahon threw a fit about the ability of some WWE main roster stars. McMahon allegedly targeted the big guys on the roster and ordered them back to the Performance Center to train with Adam Pearce and Drew Gulak. Those stars included Otis, Keith Lee, Dabo Kato, Dio Madden, and AJ Styles' bodyguard, Omos.